What's up, guys? It's Fell-Handed Fonzarelli, and today we're going to have me asking myself the interview questions while a garage tour is playing in the background. You guys asked for it. This is it. I'm not sure why anybody'd want to see little old me's garage tour, but you know what? Nevertheless, here it is. Now, these questions that I'm going to ask myself, that I have asked in the past, I have the memory of a goldfish. I have literally forgotten what each one is. So, more or less, the answers are going to be off the cuff. So, guys, let's get right into it, and let's see what happens. What brought you to World of Tanks? Okay, good story. Originally, you know, I'm a history buff, World War II history buff, and I was such a fan of the Tiger tank. You know, big time, tough armor, awesome gun, you know, ruled the battlefield. My father was in the Korean War, and he, you know, was a history buff as well, and he would always talk about the Tiger tank, how amazing it was, German engineer, da-da-da. And when I got to World of Tanks, that was the only thing I wanted. I wanted to get to the Tiger tank. So when I got to the Tiger tank, I was sorely disappointed. Everything could pin it. You know, you couldn't just go out there and kind of take rounds and bounce them and so on and so forth. So I was kind of sad. Now, granted, of course, I've grown as a player considerably. You know, I don't depend on the armor of anything. But at the time, that was a big deal for me, and it just did not happen. I was a little disappointed. You know, but we kept at it, thank goodness, or we would not be here. So, yeah, kind of my love for that. And to expand on that question, when I first started, I only ran German tanks. I only ran German tech trees. My goal was to have every German tank in the game, and at one point I did. They have since added more. And that's all I did. I did German tanks. And then at one point, you know, we only did the E100 Greta. After Cosmic Carrie, we ran that, and then, you know, I end up getting killed by mediums so often, I kind of started running the Leopard, and then, you know, I kind of transitioned into the Bat Chat, and now I just kind of run whatever's OP. So, that is my long, short story to that question. So, how long have you been playing World of Tanks? Well, I have been playing World of Tanks 4 years at this point, a few weeks after the initial start, which was February. I wasn't a beta tester. A lot of people think I am for some reason. I was not. Never got in on that. You know, been playing since the 360, transferred to the 1. And, you know, been loving it ever since. What's your favorite map and why? I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't necessarily have a favorite per se. It's very situational. It depends on the tank, of course. I would say the thing that comes to mind is mines when I'm in a medium or a light, preferably a Bat Chat, on the northern spawn, and I've got a few guys with me, and we go down to K1 and shoot the guys pushing the hill. That's probably the first thing that came to mind as far as my favorite map. Do you play solo or do you roll with a platoon? It differs. I used to roll in platoons non-stop. Lately, I have been rolling solo because I'm trying to really get my damage up with the AMX Chaffee. It's very, very hard to get marks or to even get damage when you roll with a platoon. I do like rolling with a platoon. I like rolling with the fellas, and, you know, but at the same time, you have a full platoon or even 2 or 3 people, you know, you're not going to get as much damage as you could. So just keep that in mind. What's your favorite tank and why? I would say, overall, most likely the Bat Chat. That is the tank I have played for a long time. I enjoy it. The profile, it's small. It's got good acceleration. It's got an okay gun. The burst damage is, you know, phenomenal. Phenomenal. It's pretty daggone awesome. You know, I think the Leopard is good as well, but I think as far as my skill set goes, it kind of sets me up better towards the Batchat. So, for now, favorite tank. What is your least favorite tank and why? Least favorite tank I own, gosh, would probably be the Jagdpanzer. It is just a slow pile of failure wrapped in a blanket of sadness. That is the only way I can describe it. It's slow, and, you know, if you load a hot round, you can penetrate the superstructure, and the reload time is 20 minutes, and the accuracy just, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it at all. You know what? Maybe that ties for the Moss. The Moss is just a giant punching bag of XP. You hit it anywhere and XP falls out. I'm just not a fan of either one of those tanks. Gosh, I had to say if I would tie, I would say the Jag. Yeah, the Jag is probably my yeah, I'm not a fan. What is your favorite non-World of Tanks game? Gosh, I would have to say Ghost Recon Wildlands. I play it almost every day, and I just enjoy it. It's kind of like a tactical GTA. Think of it that way. Premium rounds or nah? Well, I am definitely a premium round kind of guy. I don't, you know, most of my loadouts in tanks, if you see me go through my garage here, is going to be 50-50 in anything I remotely play. Now, granted, you know, you're going to see, not often do I have 100% premium loadouts. I think, you know, you can watch this garage tour. I know because I just went through it. T32 and M103 had 100% premium. That is how the bull grinds. The few times he does grind, he wants to get all the XP he can. And of course the AMX Chaffee. When you're 3 tiers down, you really need all the help you can get. Oh, and the Conqueror gun carrier. I have 100% premium. There's just something about, you know, paying 8,000 silver per shell and then me just kind of, you know, missing every shot. That is just hilarious to me. I don't know why. I'm not normal. Moving on. In your opinion, what are the top 5 skills every tanker must have? 6th Sense needs to be the first one on everything. Now, as far as the rest go, it's kind of situational. BIA would be the second one, and that's non-negotiable. Now, I am a fan of repair and track mechanic because a lot of times if you have those two, by the time I hold the X button or whatever and select the tracks, they will be fixed. So I am a big fan of that. Camouflage, depending on what your tank is, okay? So if you have an E100 and you put the camouflage skill on it, you're not going to get as much out of it versus, say, if you have a Panther or if you have a Leopard or if you have a Batchat. So it's very, very situational. And also, I kind of order my skills a little differently than anybody else would, for the simple fact that, you know, I go for the biggest bang for the biggest, the biggest bang for the buck. In other words, I'm a firm believer in off-road driving and clutch braking over snapshot and smooth ride, because you're going to be driving and turning considerably more than firing. Now, you know, I'm sure there's people out here who would argue, oh, well, that's going to help you hit 2% better or whatever. I'm okay with that. I can wait 2% longer for that shot to, you know, circle in. I just think, you know, I've been at this for a while, and you know, I just kind of believe that, you know, you need to set things up in a certain way, depending on what tank it's going to be for. I mean, granted, you know, situational awareness recon is always a good thing coupled with BIA. Those of you that have Mentor, get rid of it. I've seen the numbers on it. It is a broken perk skill, whatever it is. It does not work. I have seen the numbers on it on the forums. Just kind of throwing that out there while we're talking about skills. Grind or nah? Well, recently, I put the video out that said I don't grind. I really don't grind anymore, guys. Here's the thing. When I first started this game, I grinded everything. And normally when you grind, your stats are going to take a hit. I didn't know anything about stats, and I was grinding, and I was just, now I'm trying to kind of counteract all that, awfulness. And it's difficult. It really is. I mean, I've got almost 30,000 games, and, I run a 5,000 or, 5,500 for a week. Yeah, that's fantastic. Now run it, 100 more weeks. Run it 2 more years, and then, you could see a reflection of that on your stats. I mean, so yeah, I used to grind all the time. God, there's so many tanks, man. You can look through my tanks, like the T-57 Heavy. I pretty much just cashed out XP and the STB, and there's a number of tanks, the IS-7 being one, that I just cashed out. And this was when I was putting a little money in this game. But at that point, it just didn't really matter. If I wanted a tank, I would get it. And, just kind of go like that. The first 2 years that I was playing this game, I put a lot of money in this game. The last 2 years, I have more wisdom than money. I have more wisdom than money. I don't necessarily... I think that I'm just a bit more cautious. I know what I want, and I know how to get it. You kind of have to prioritize and go from there, I guess, is what I'm saying. As far as, grinding. Recently, I was grinding the T110E5, and just a little bit. I played the T32 a little bit, and I got the M103, and I played the M103 a little bit, and then I just said, you know what, the heck with it. I'm going to cash it out. But I'm not grinding anymore, or I'm not even cashing out anything anymore. There's nothing really I want. Every time a new tank comes out, everybody has to buy it. Everybody has to have it. But I've never been that way, because there's always going to be something that comes out that everybody's going to want that you're not going to have. So you have to kind of be happy with where you are, so to speak. That was a long answer for, 3-word question. If you had to ballpark it, how much money have you spent in the game? Okay, so I looked this up once. I looked this up like a year ago, or maybe a year and a half ago, and I think it's right around $2,000. I think $1,800, $2,000. Because in the beginning, I would buy premium time by the month or whatever. Now, of course, I always buy it Black Friday. You get a year for half off. Who's not going to get in on that? But for the most part, the first 2 years, after I would grind, I would cash things out. And, that's just kind of how I did it. Not really a fan of... I mean, there's so many tanks that I cashed out. A lot of tanks I cashed out. I bought a lot of premium tanks. When I started buying my collection of German premium tanks, that cost a lot of money. Because I said I want to have every German premium tank. And some of these things I look back and I'm like, why on earth, if you had any inkling of what you're doing? Spoiler alert, I did not. Because, I was, new to the game, a year or two in. You think you have an idea, but you don't. If I look back on this video 2 years from now, I'm going to be like, yeah, that guy didn't have any idea what he was doing. So, it's a continuous process. What do you think is the most unbalanced thing in the game? God, man, if I had looked at this list previously, I probably would have gotten rid of that question. I don't know. I would probably most likely say artillery. I'm just not a fan of artillery. Somebody can stay at the spawn and just completely wreck you. I've just... To me, there has... Now, and I'm not saying arty players don't have skill. I'm not that guy. I get it. But I'm just saying that... I got one-shotted once. And I looked up this guy's stats. I was just curious. And... between his and mine, there was like a 6,500 point difference in personal rating. And I just thought about that for a second. I didn't send the guy hate mail, but I thought about it for a second. I said, you know what? If that guy was in a heavy, if he was in a medium, if he was in a light, if he was in a tank destroyer, I would have took him apart and kept going. I guess because there's that kind of like that skill gap, I feel like in Artie, so I kind of feel like it's unbalanced. Like, a lot of people are going to say the Death Star. The Death Star at least has to aim and hit you and get close enough, to be considered detected, and, they have to kind of watch out. And the same thing with the hearse, and, with its no camo, upside down shovel of a turret. And so anyway, that's kind of my take on it, is I kind of think the clickers are a little unbalanced. That's just my honest opinion. What is the longest you've ever played what? I have no idea. It hasn't been super long. I'm not one of these people who get into super gaming sessions. If I had the amazing internet capability to stream, I'm not going to be one of those people who streams for like 8 hours. It's just not going to happen. I end up switching up, or I get bored, or I have a bad run of games. And at this point in my WOT career, if I have a bad game or two, I'm in damage control mode. If I have one bad game, I'm like, whoa, we need to control this so this fire doesn't spread. Nowadays, if I have 2 bad games in a row, I cash out. I get off. So it wouldn't really work for me. I mean, now I'm kind of concerned, quality over quantity of games played. I'm really trying to get my numbers up there. It's kind of like a personal goal for me. And, when you do so poorly for so long, it just takes so many games to kind of turn that around. And that's, that's kind of my thing. What is your least favorite tank to be going against? I would honestly have to say an artillery player who knows what they're doing. If they know what they're doing, a lot of this other stuff you can defend, you can kind of get it out of the way. You guys have seen when people target me and they come at me in, the video with the T-54 lightweight. I can start heading the other direction. But, if somebody in Artie has it out for you, I mean, you're in trouble. And I have definitely been targeted by Artie. And I mean, it happens. If you get recognized for one, you're going to get targeted. But, when there are other targets in the area, other slow-moving targets, T-95 or an E-100, and, you've got a bad chat going full speed and they're shooting at me, it gives me an idea that, somebody's gunning for me. But anyway, yeah, that's my least favorite. I would rather fight an E3 because at least I can flank an E3 and see it. Most of the time, you don't ever see Artie. If you could pick one feature to add to the game, what would it be? I think it would be swell to have addable stowage that just does nothing but just looks sweet. You could put whatever kind of stowage, you pay 10 gold per piece or whatever, and it gets permanently duct taped on there, or however. I don't necessarily think it should jack with the mechanics. I think it should be just purely fluff. But I think that would be pretty sweet. You could have a Fury-esque, we've been traveling across the German countryside, and, Durka Durka, we're trying to get the water and everything and the foods. We'll have it later. And I think that would be pretty sweet. I know somebody mentioned that that's something they're working on, and I think that would be fantastic if you could just add your own little customizable stowage. Originally, I thought, if you could, make your own emblem or put your own words on there, but my mind immediately went to what it would become, which, I think we all know what it would become, so I kind of went away from that, because even if they did decide to do that for some reason, they would immediately shut it down, and I don't really want to see that either. So, that being said, I think let's stick with stowage. Yeah. In closing, is there anything you would like to say to the folks watching? I like it. Guys, I really appreciate your guys' support. Over the years, if, you haven't been here years, days, weeks, hours, however long you've been watching, I really appreciate it, because it's the fans and the subs and everything that kind of keeps me going. And also the fact that, I'm here for you guys. I want to do things for you guys. Post your replays on here. I mean, pretty much anything. I just want to get, in tune with the community, what you guys are looking for. I mean, this video totally came up from, the community and everybody commenting on yesterday's video that say, hey, maybe you should do a garage tour, maybe you should ask yourself your interview questions, whatever. And, that's what I'm here for. I mean, a lot of times I do things for your own edification, but, in this case, you were interested in the whole Q&A thing and the whole interview questions. And, I think in this case, especially since I have a short memory, that you get those off-the-cuff responses, not those. That's kind of why when I did the interviews, I didn't let anybody know any questions, because I kind of want that. I want that catching people off guard thing. So, and that's kind of what we have today here. I had no idea what I had wrote down. Those questions have been there a while. But anyway, yes, in closing, I would like to say, going forward, if there's anything you guys would like to see, if you'd like to, see different games, if you'd like to see more of a tank, more, featured footage, so on and so forth, absolutely. I will say this, I am going to be doing some featured footage this week. I would prefer going forward to only do standard footage, not necessarily replay. I've had some people complain about replay, that they can't see how the shots line up, so on and so forth. So I'm going to post one of those, but going forward I do only want to post the standard replays. Guys, hope you enjoy. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you guys next time.